Hey everybody, this is NFT Buyer 777. I am the co-founder of Meta Millions and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to interview one of the team members for Dope Pirates. It's a really interesting interview because they're actually currently in their mint. So they have three different waves. They have the OG wave, they have their whitelist waves or the wave or their early access wave, and then they have their public wave. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation. I'm really excited for you guys. And if you have any questions for me to ask him, we're probably going to connect sometime in the future. Go ahead and drop those in the comments, and I'll take care of those then. I hope you enjoy the conversation. All right. Well, today, everybody, I am with one of the Dope Pirates team members. They're a team of three, and Brohane, he was excited to talk about their project, and I'm really excited to talk to him because they just had part of their mint earlier today. But before I get too much into their project and what that looks like, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, hey, I'm Brohane. I'm your local nice voice British BBC reporter guy. Not actually a BBC reporter, but I've been told that. And
Right.
but I'm the head of marketing for Dope Pirates.
Awesome. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you because I have been aware of Dope Pirates for a while. I don't have the OG status, but I have kind of the early supporter status in your Discord. And I really like just the community and the roadmap you guys have. So the first experience I had, it was the first day I think I was in your Discord. You guys were doing a auction in your Discord. Now, how many auctions did you do? Because you guys brokered those yourselves, right?
Yeah, we've only done two previously. There was I think the first one, I forget what the 1 out of 1 was. I think it was one of the One Piece ones.
Okay.
But the second one I remember a lot clearer because I won that auction.
You
Uh,
did? Okay, I didn't
Humble
even know that.
brag.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was Karl Marx, which was
Awesome.
nice. Yeah, we just kind of did those. We only did the two. We're planning for a third one tomorrow, just to, to auction it off because we already pulled it out of the mint already. So we thought
Yeah.
we can't really do much else with it. Um, they were mostly originally they were because we didn't have any funding period to even pay our dev, which wasn't great because that
Right.
guy works super hard, especially
Yeah.
on something as complicated as staking. So
Yeah.
understandably we needed to have something to pay him. The
Hmm.
second one, after some discussion, that's going into our liquidity pool. And I think tomorrow's one is going to be split, depending on how high it goes, between the liquidity pool and development costs for the upcoming
Okay.
game. They're just kind
Awesome.
of to generate some hype because the more the 1 out of 1 sell for, and we're confident they'll sell for quite a chunk, the more
Hmm.
people look at it and go, yeah, these are clearly valuable. People clearly think these are worth quite a lot.
Right.
Um, so it generates hype and it gives us some more funding to work with, which is
Mhm.
always great.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys started off with a closed Discord, right?
We actually started off with an open one.
Okay.
It was after, I think after a month and a half, when we figured our marketing strategy at the time, which was pretty much just any other marketing strategy,
Right.
wasn't really doing that well for us because I don't know. I think marketing sometimes it includes a dash of luck, which was
Hmm.
kind of what our old strategy relied on a lot. And after quite a deep discussion, we decided closing the Discord would drum up a lot more hype and
Right.
also create a much tighter community, which I
Yes.
think is really important.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's what I felt because I came in after it was closed. And like it was closed and you guys had sent out a few invites to, I think, Solana NFT Radar. I'm not sure how I got into your Discord. But that was really cool. I hate the closed Discord meta if I'm out of them, but if I'm in it, it feels pretty exclusive. You know, you feel like you're in a group, you know, you get to experience things like the auction. And I definitely feel like that is really interesting that so you said after a month of doing that marketing, you switched to that closed. And then when you switched to a closed, when you feel like you saw a lot more success afterwards, like, did you feel like it skyrocketed, or was it kind of like the same trajectory?
Uh, I wouldn't. It didn't skyrocket, but it definitely went up by quite a lot. Because after a month or two of the old marketing strategy, I think we've been on the closed Discord one for a week or two now, maybe
Okay.
2.5 weeks. But after a while of the old one, we were only 500 followers on Twitter. We had 2,000 Discord members, but
Okay.
kind of some people were leaving and going because they didn't see much growth, which, fair enough.
Right. Right.
Um, and then after closing the Discord, well, now we have 1,200 followers on Twitter, nearly 1,300,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
the Discord itself is somehow, despite being closed, bigger than it was before, which is interesting. But
Right.
yeah,
Okay. And you guys just had a mint a few hours ago, right? You maybe 4 or 5 hours ago, you had a wave one of three waves, correct?
yeah, it's
Okay.
technically still running, but I'm imagining the majority of the people minted just immediately. So
Right.
yeah, we had it a few hours ago, and I think it went pretty well in my opinion, but that depends on what you take as pretty well, because the thing about the first wave is it costs less to mint during the first wave.
Right.
So the price is 0.15 Solana, whereas the price for the next wave and for the public sale are 0.25 Solana.
Right.
Um, which, it makes it a lot more accessible and gives a lot of rewards for the people who are there early, but is cheaper, and it's already quite cheap enough that will, like, the numbers I had to run to make our funding work were crazy. I'm sitting here like, okay, cut this, we can't afford it. Add this
Yeah.
in, cut this again, cut this. It was stressful, but I think I made it work.
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
and that was assuming that about 3,000 of the supply would be taken by this tier. I
Okay.
think about 1,000 has been, well, 1,400 has been taken so far. I'd be surprised
Okay.
if it went above 2,000. So
Yeah.
it's great from a price perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
this is something that I think a lot of people miss is you guys are trying to do something. Like, you guys have a plan afterwards. You know, you have this really long roadmap that we'll get into in a little bit. And I'm actually really excited to talk to you about it. But you guys want to develop stuff afterwards. And that costs money. You know, you're building something, it costs money. You're effectively building a business. And a lot of people, and I think I was this way too, my first few weeks into buying NFTs, I was like, gosh, why do they want to increase the price if Solana is going down, or if like, why do they have these metrics on the back end? And then talking to business owners or project owners about this, it's like, well, we have these other things that we need to do. And that's something that I think a lot more people need to understand. If you're in it and you're buying a project because you like the project and you like the team, you want them to have funding. You know, you want them to be able to do stuff afterwards so that they can have a successful project after that initial launch. And so that's something that I would agree with you. I think that that is a good thing overall, that you will be able to increase some funding on that back end.
yeah, I think what people miss sometimes, they tend to understand it, but while the whole one Solana is one Solana mindset is great for the space,
Mm-hmm.
people are expecting to get paid in dollars,
Right. Yes.
which means if Solana goes down or up, it can actually pretty badly impact any of our metrics when it comes to our
Yes.
finances.
Yeah. I would agree. People do expect to get paid in Solana or in US dollars, so it correlates from Solana. Now, you've had one wave. What made you go to from for people that don't know the typical minting, it's usually going to be a pre-sales list and then a public or just a public. We're moving away from just public to a pre-sales and then public. Now, what made you want to add an early stage before there? You mentioned that you kind of wanted to have a benefit to your early supporters. Is that really what drove that OG mint price in there as well? So kind of that even before pre-sales list, is that why you wanted to create something like that, having three waves?
That was partly what drove that. Originally, we gave out our OG spots a bit too willy nilly, which made what a way to say that, which made it made it so that we were quite tight on spots when we were giving them away to communities, and we figured that
Mm,
wasn't really sustainable, as
right.
well as the fact that OG gave you like a lot of benefits for,
Mhm.
I mean, if you want it from a giveaway or something, for doing relatively little.
Right.
uh in the end, we figured we probably needed another tier of whitelist, A, to run those giveaways, B, so that, you know, people who were really involved in the community could be recognized by their OG status rather than just giving that status away to random people.
Yeah.
Um, which is what ended up with us, that third tier, or well, the wave we're currently on was our first one actually.
Okay.
The normal whitelist came after, when we decided we wanted to make that one harder to get on, while we also wanted to give people, to give communities another advantage without giving away OG spots, which were a bit OP, as the kids
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah.
Okay. Now, something that I think you guys did well is everybody kind of knows that when you come in now for a whitelist, there's going to be kind of a grind, a whitelist grind. And a lot of projects, they do this whitelist grind, and well, at least from my experience, a lot of projects just are like, okay, grind away and that's it, just get to it. But what I liked about you guys is that even though there was kind of that aspect of, hey, it's going to be a whitelist grind, there was also a lot about your project to facilitate this conversation that you wanted to have in your community. So, like I said, the first day I was there, you guys had an auction, but then also you have this really, really big uh, white paper where you break down, hey, this is what we want to do. This is why we want to have all of these different phases. Now, talk a little bit about why you wanted to build such a large white paper, because it's ambitious. Some people are going to see a 70-page white paper and say, I'm not going to read that. But for me, I like it. I like that more than a 2-paragraph white paper the day before mint. Why did you guys go that route, having a 70-page white paper?
um well, really, it was kind of, we saw all those taglines and such, which were all about, hey, we're gonna under promise but over deliver, and then half of those projects which said that would then over promise and under
Yeah.
deliver, which
And then
was,
rug.
yeah, then
Not
rug.
actually, but right.
Which kind of sucked. But
Yes.
then we decided, okay, why don't we just promise and deliver? Just straight
Yes.
up say what we're gonna do, be
Hmm.
completely transparent with the community, and just do what we were gonna do. Because the
Hmm.
thing a lot of projects run into is that no one knows what they're doing really, and people end up asking and they say they can't answer, and that's not great for the community, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
If nobody knows what's going on, then there's no reason for anyone to invest, right? And
Hmm.
your average NFT investor is just that, they're an investor. um we thought if we outlined everything we wanted to do in a very, like, not concise, but, clear way.
Yes,
uh
very clear. I would say it's very clear in your white paper, but it's long, and I love it. I love it. So
yeah, if we could make it all clear and such, then, well, people would probably be more willing to invest, and they would
Mhm.
have reason to invest rather than just degenning in. Like our project, we don't want it to be the kind of thing where people just degen in and hope they, luck out. It's
Yeah.
a proper, actual, fully lined out thing, which is why we even got someone to do the design, because some of those things are, I could not do those. I
Yeah.
did all the
Yeah.
writing, but oh my god, it looks so fancy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Right.
but yeah, that's basically why we ended up doing the white paper. There will probably be more to come once we've got more stuff out, but that's just the beginning, I guess.
That's cool. Now, uh, and I want to say that I want to give you guys props, the three team members props about being in the Discord frequently. That I'm not going to say what project I'm in right now, but the community is kind of imploding because uh, the the founders and the moderators don't talk much, and they they really are kind of absent, and there are a few deadlines that they've missed and they haven't addressed it. They've just kind of not said anything over the past 24 hours, and so a lot of people in that Discord are getting anxious and antsy, and sometimes that's fine, and there are going to be people that get worried and sell, and but then there's sometimes when you have to start thinking critically, if the team isn't going to go the extra mile and take care of the community, then are they doing that somewhere else as well where we can't see? And I think that in your community, I get you guys are there all the time. You're always connecting, you're always talking. So I really like that about your team and your community. But I wanted to talk a little bit about something that really interested me, or a few things that really interested me in your white paper. And I'll kind of start at the end of it, but the one where it was sweeping and burning, I think is really interesting because I try to be really introspective, where I think of, if I'm in this situation, how am I going to respond? And what would be the likely outcome of other people in the same situation? Because I think that that's really helpful to make a decision. And you guys are going to sweep at 30% above the floor price. So just for an example, if it's at zero point 0.5 SOL floor price, 30%, you're going to start at 0.65 sweeping, and then you're burning. And I think that that is so interesting because that's just naturally going to increase the floor price in itself, because people aren't going to want to be at the floor because you're not going to sweep the floor, but you're going to decrease supply. That was such an interesting take. And what did, like, who came up with that? What, like, talk to me about that. That's such a cool idea. Tell me a little bit more about kind of the creation of that idea.
That was originally so at the very beginning of the creation of the white paper, we were just coming up with ideas, what we really wanted to do.
Right.
And a sweeping the floor system is always something people ask for, but most of the time it's not particularly helpful and
Mm-hmm.
serves no purpose. It's just exit liquidity, right?
Right.
But we figured there was some way that we could implement it, because first off, the floor price would raise quickly, and then some people would panic sell, and those are the
Right.
kinds of people that we probably don't want in our projects. No offense to those people, because still they're profiting, but not the kind of people we want in a long-term staking project.
Right.
Uh, but as well as that, with the burning system, that means we can actually have it serve a purpose rather than just being floor price, raise it artificially, done.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole logic behind the 30% increase, that was inspired because before I did quite a bit of investigation into other projects, including some of the blue chips.
Mm-hmm.
And that was taken from Stoned Ape Club.
Okay.
Now, they don't do that, but they have a
Mm.
system in which, oh, I forget exactly how it works, but there are two roles, kind of like how we have 10, but they have the two. And
Yeah.
one does one thing, the other does one thing. And they always buy the stronger one.
Mm.
which leaves the floor really thin, or something along those lines. And then because the
Interesting.
floor is really thin to a higher price, people will see it and go, monkey brain, neuron activation, I must
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah.
And
Of
then the floor
course.
price raises itself,
Yeah.
which is what we're hoping for here. And
What you don't
also,
realize is we are sophisticated investors. No. Right.
I, I'm just speaking for myself. If I see thin, I just go, yes, I must buy.
Same. I know. You're speaking for me too. That is me. I'm like, the floor is thin. Looks like it's buying time. That's fantastic. That is so cool because I read that, and when I first read the sweeping and burn, I was like, oh, okay, this is just another sweep and burn. And then when I started reading a little bit more, I thought this is really interesting. I'm interested to see how this works because that's a new idea. You know, it to my knowledge, that structure hasn't been tried from a sweep and burn perspective. It's a new take on it. So I'm going to be really interested in looking at that. But then also you mentioned you guys have 10 roles and this affects staking. And we're not going to get too much into it because we wouldn't do it the proper service to talk about all of the staking because
We'd be here for a day.
through all of that and it's really cool. But one thing that I think is interesting is it's not going to be in this drop, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to have Marines as well, correct? That's going to be one of the roles. It's going to be a different drop. Is that correct? You guys have Marines coming out afterwards?
Yeah, we have quite a few collections coming out afterwards, which are going to occupy different roles in the staking system. And
So the
also,
Marines, they not only have a different role, but the people that you sweep and burn. So the NFTs that you sweep and burn, there's a 5% chance that these turn into a zombie NFT and then they're airdropped to people who hold Marines. Am I remembering that correctly?
yep, that is correct.
Man, so that is really interesting because you're going to create a staking mentality where you automatically are going to lock a certain percentage of that project. And then you're going to have a sweeping and burn just metric that is different. That's a different take than other projects out there right now. And then you're going to incentivize another project afterwards using this staking token, which I think is a really cool way to not just create a native token, but have a purpose for your token in the idea of the project itself. I think that that's such a refreshing way because a lot of times it just feels like staking, token, breeding, and this is a refreshing take on those different aspects. And so I guess I'm really excited about a few different aspects of the white paper. But what do you feel like is something that you're most interested about seeing to come out and actually go live in your white paper? Because you have a lot there.
It's got to be the 2 pages that tease our game, mostly because I'm
Yes.
still very invested in trying to make that work as it is.
Yeah.
I've got the Google Doc filled with how it works, like open somewhere in here.
Yeah, right. Out of your 8,000 tabs.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that works. Sweet. Now, do you have a developer on staff already building that game? Are you contracting that out? Or, I mean, if you can't say yet, no worries.
I mean, no, I'm free to say it. We like to be transparent. We don't have as it is a game developer.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to, I mean, sometime after the mint, we're probably going to at everyone and be like, hey, we're looking for a dev. I mean, out of 8,000 members, there should 8,000. What the hell?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know, 2,500, maybe 4,000 by the end of the public. There should be like a few game devs, right?
right.
Um, If we can't, we'll go searching elsewhere. We managed to find our own dev at the moment who does the smart contract on
Hmm.
just I think just some server where you can hire devs, which obviously filled with scams, but we managed to get one of the good ones, so I'm happy.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
we can definitely do that kind of thing as well. Right now, we've just got one guy who does the art and the front end animation and stuff. We've got one guy. He's not technically hired, but he's helping to manage stuff like the finances, the all that kind of stuff. Because as well as I've done performing the finances, not my specialty, and
Right.
someone else could probably make it more optimal.
Hmm.
And we've got one guy who I think is my proudest on board at the moment, who just does like the mechanics and the concepts and how it'll actually work. Because
Okay.
this guy, I don't know, he knows his stuff. He's out here attending GDC conferences and all that,
Wow.
naming like mechanics I've never heard of before. Like, oh yes, this will make people love the game, and I'm just nodding like, yes, I'm sure it will. You sound really
Yeah,
smart.
yeah. Right, right.
Um, and then actually reading through what he writes down, like after the fact, and going, oh yeah, it actually is really smart.
Yeah.
Um, those are the people we've got on at the moment, which I think is pretty important because we could
Hmm.
start development now, but we don't have much of like a really fleshed out idea. Like we've got how it'll work basically, but the maths, the chances of certain things happening, how the in-game economy will work with all the numbers and stuff isn't there yet, which, I think we should have before we have a dev
Yeah.
so that the dev can know what's going on immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thanks for taking some time out of your crazy few days. You're still minting. I mean, you have one wave done. You've got two more coming up the next few days. I'm minting tomorrow for you guys, so I'm excited. I am not in public. I probably will pick up a few more in public, but I want to try and get as many roles as I can before secondary comes. So, but I really appreciate you hopping on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. See ya.
All right, see ya, man.